Good morning, everyone. I would like to welcome you all to this panel session on CU conference. In this session, we will hear about SDG 4, quality education. I'll now present the chairperson. He holds a PhD in philosophy from the University of São Paulo. He was a postdoctoral fellow at Université de Paris 7 and at Universitat de Barcelona. He was a visiting professor at Université de Lille. He has a research productivity grant from CNPq. He's a full professor at the philosophy department here at UFPR and is a faculty member of the graduate programs on philosophy and on education. His research encompasses the themes of power relations, asymmetries, and human rights, and also democracy in crisis, biopolitical violence, and neoliberal management of people's lives. He's the director of the UFPR International Office. I would like you all to welcome Professor André Duarte.
Thank you, Ana. Thank you, Ana Tempesta. Thank you so much for your introduction to this plenary section. I would like also to thank Professor Dr. Poonam for being here with us, whom I shall present in a moment. So Professor Poonam, she has proposed us a talk on transnational education achievements and prospects, role of international tertiary education. Dr. Poonam is senior lecturer in the School of Biomedical Sciences at Ulster University, UK. She's Doctor of Science by Ulster University, and she also holds a PhD in Industrial Microbiology, funded with the award of Junior Senior Research Fellowships from the Council of Scientific Industrial Research of India. She was a postdoctoral researcher in a RD company of Germany, 1985 to 88, before joining as a senior research officer in biotechnology at Ulster University in January 1990. She joined as a full-time lecturer in biotechnology in 96 and was promoted to senior lecturer in 2001. Dr. Poonam is affiliated with several scientific societies and academies. She is a senior fellow in the Higher Education Academy, UK, a fellow of Centre of Higher Education Research and Practice, Royal Society of Biology, International Forum on Industrial Bioprocesses, Academy of Microbiological Sciences, and Biotechnology Research Society. Her work and research have specifically focused on different SDGs, and here I would like to mention SDG 3, good health and well-being, SDG 4, quality education, which is the topic of today's talk, SDG 7, affordable and clean energy, SDG 9, industry, innovation and infrastructure, SDG 17, partnerships for the goals. So thank you so much, Dr. Poonam, for being here. We're very happy with your presence, and we are very happy to debate with you at the end of your presentation. Thank you so much. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, giving such a nice introduction. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, yes, perfectly.
And my slide is visible?
Yes.
Okay, so first of all, I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to the University of Paraná in Brazil for sending me the information for such an important conference and the event being held in Brazil. I am fortunate that I have been there on invitation as the invited speaker at this university in year 2010. That was the international conference hosted by the professor at this university in Paraná. And that was a very good, unique opportunity as well as experience. Unfortunately, due to the travel restrictions, international flights I could not be there in person, but because of digital tools, it is possible to attend many conferences online without any travel requirement. In fact, this is my second conference today in different time zones and different geographical areas. So I'm very much thankful, and I hope the next, whenever will be this conference, CU, I would like to be there in person and meet all these students attending this conference. As I offered that I can talk on SDG 4, which is the quality education, sustainable development goal out of 17 goals of United Nations. Because I have been in education sector as a teacher for last 32 years, so I thought instead of talking on my research, what I have been doing in biotechnology, I would talk about this SDG 4. As this is a slide I have taken picture from that United Nations site, that the quality education SDG 4 ensures the inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. This is very true, because even at this stage, like I am senior lecturer for last so many years, but still every day we learn from our colleagues and from the international collaborators in science, in research, in teaching. Like for example, this conference here in Brazil, we are learning, lifelong learning. And from ending poverty to improving health, to curbing climate change, the success of the sustainable development agenda depends on progress in education. So though SDG 4 is about quality education, but without education or knowledge, the other goals, there are 17 total goals for United Nations, we cannot achieve, like sustainable development goals, for example, inequality, health and nutrition, poverty reduction, and other global partnerships. So the education is the most important, like we all working in higher education institute in global, and I have several global opportunities. And this partnership, which I am going to discuss in my further slides, is very much important to achieve the agenda of United Nations, not only for SDG 4, but several other. So due to the fact education contributes in allowing several other United Nations Sustainable Development Goals to be achieved, therefore, it is utmost important that it receives the attention. Therefore, inclusive and equitable quality education with lifelong learning opportunities should be available for all in all geographical areas by 2030. This is the agenda of United Nations and also UNESCO. So that's why this is our duty. Being in this sector of education, we are actually fortunate that we can contribute something from our side. The global higher education, the knowledge, diplomacy in culturally diverse countries. So this driving United Nations Sustainable Development Goal, if we go through the high quality input, only then we can get high quality output. So the different higher education institutes based in different countries, like some are developed countries, some are developing countries, and some are underdeveloped countries. We can contribute through our knowledge diplomacy. And that's what is important to know, what makes great pedagogy. Universities across the world are developing innovative research approaches. Research, I'm talking here about teaching, knowledge transfer, assessment, and learning experience in pedagogy. That, number one, it enhances our understanding of teaching and learning processes. Why? Because not for each country, different languages are barrier, their cultural, the background are barriers. I have been to many countries as a visiting academic, and it is important that every time I have to modify my way of teaching, the delivery of my lecture. So to reach and to the audience in a different scenario, we have to change our processes. It's not the same as I teach in UK. When I go to other country, I cannot use the same method, though my subject would be the same, but my approach will be very different. So that I can promote professional dialogue and debate on education quality. So the topic which I am concise here is on transnational education. So what are the achievements and prospects? And what is the role of international tertiary education? Because we are talking here today, the event is related to United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So that's why I have chosen this topic. What is the role of international tertiary education to achieve SDG 4? And this is through global partnership. So university and all higher education institutes, doesn't matter which geographical area and cultural diversity, is not limited just for the education, quality education. But as I said in my previous slide, SDG 4 also contributes in all 17 SDGs. Here, this picture I am showing, I have taken from the United Nations SDG Goals website. It is showing there are 17 SDG goals. But to achieve our objective in any of these 17 goals, the education and good education, knowledge is of utmost importance. So that's why this is the role of academic institutes globally, that if we can work in partnership wherever it is possible and the opportunities are available, we can contribute in other 17, total 17 SDGs through SDG 4. The advantages of experiential and problem-solving pedagogy. So like I have been teaching like the very beginning as a lecturer in microbiology. That time I was teaching only microbiology and biotechnology. But over years, we had to develop the international collaborations for the joint delivery of courses or visiting other institute as a visiting academy. That time I learned that teaching a particular subject is a different thing, but how we solve the problem through our pedagogy, and how can most teachers be motivated to use a pedagogy that is experiential. I give a very good example when about a few years ago, I was invited in Hochschule means like a Hochschule, like a higher education institute in Germany, to deliver a lecture, a module of 30 lectures in biochemical engineering, because the course was taught in German language, but they wanted give student an experience of this particular topic, which is of global importance, to be taught in English. So that's why I visited that place, and I had to modify, means I had to do experiment to reach each and every student attending my class for 30 lectures, to understand that what is about biochemical engineering. If they go in outside world, out of their comfort zone, like in German language, how they are going to work in industry or in different pharmaceutical company or food industry. So pedagogy allows us that how we can be motivated when we meet different audiences. So for achieving SDG 4, like we all academic at universities, we publish our research papers or our views, we write reviews, and we cite important innovations, whether it is in science, microbiology, or in our pedagogy. Like the chairperson gave my introduction as the senior fellow of Higher Education Academy. There, my role is that how we are making innovations in our pedagogy at university level for higher education, to prepare the students coming out of the university to face the wider world. Not every student is going for PhD or doing research. So that Higher Education Academy, we see different goals to prepare the graduates facing outside world. So lifelong learning, here it comes lifelong learning, like even I am still learning at this stage. That will help student in university to regain the skills which they had learned in their secondary education. And that will stay for lifelong, because they would be needing this literacy skill and writing skills, reviewing and applications in wider world. So I had, like 2 years ago, I had seen this thing. I had attended one conference of teaching higher education, THE in UK. That time, it was somebody gave a very good presentation on United Nations Higher Education Sustainability Initiative. This was 2 years ago, that some certification program on SDG agenda was targeting effectiveness in teaching and delivery of literature, information, and knowledge. So that they, preparing the students in higher education for this meeting these targets. This slide is showing that the knowledge diplomacy and digital world. Does international tertiary education have a role? Yes, the role of international tertiary education in this new paradigm is of utmost importance. The obvious reason is that new digital technologies and platforms, particularly those during this pandemic of COVID, so many technologies have been being developed so that the teaching can be delivered without any break. So though we had all this lockdown period, universities, campuses was completely shut, but we never stopped our teaching even for a single day. No assessments were stopped, no examinations were stopped, and our semesters were running exactly same time, even in our other institute where we were sharing our teaching. Because these digital technologies and platforms are revolutionized the way that knowledge can be produced, it can be delivered, It can be shared. Shared means with our partner institutes, and also assessments, all examination, test, assignments, thesis, everything. And that work, if it is published or even through seminars, symposia, and the joint meetings, it can be used globally. So the solution to many of the world's greatest challenges are now within reach. See, the example is now that I am sitting here in Northern Ireland and the chairperson is sitting in Sao Paulo, and the host of this conference is sitting in the University of Paraná, which is in Curitiba, I think, Curitiba town of Brazil. So now we are within reach through this digital technology. The leader and partner in future world. There are some following issues that how can institutes in the international tertiary education act as number one, a global knowledge producer. Second, the developer of high-level skills. Number three, powerful anchor in local and global society. And that is also important because at the same time, the partners have to strengthen their work with the local and global partners to make a more attractive contribution. Because I have experience of working with other 3 European universities, that it is sometimes the subject is very simple, but for the understanding of the audience partners in other cultural background, we have to strengthen our work and make necessary changes. And that's why the next point, which I just said, how might these change institutions themselves? So that we have to make a lot of modifications to fit well with other partner institutes. What are their visions of a future role and what strategies will be needed to achieve that? That is, these are the issues, and those issues cannot be some solution of any problem. These are ongoing things which we can see, oh, this is issue, because one issue with the particular partner may not be the same issue with the other partner. So that's how we have to keep strengthening our work with local and global partners. Why? So that we can make an effective contribution, and also we contribute equally, means we make other partners which require the support from us, we can help them, and at the same time we are also learning from them. So this is a mutual contribution. Now I am going to present the case study of my own experience. This is in a postgraduate program in a science, technology, engineering, math subject, STEM subject with international collaboration. I am director of a joint international postgraduate taught program in bioscience with other 2 European universities. That program actually now ended. It ran for 15 years. And it was funded with the European Social Fund, which allowed a student who had graduated with a bioscience degree, but they were unable to further their education due to financial restraints. So I was successful getting the European social funding to support up to 10 students every year, but only from European countries, because this was European social funding for 15 years. So I have experience in the development, validation, and shared delivery of tertiary education. What were the highlights of this program? The program was at master's level for postgraduate award. It was designed, delivered, and assessed 50% each at 2 partner institutes in 2 different countries, based in 2 culturally different countries, and for students from 2 different geographical backgrounds. So the 2 universities were based in the same country, and I was based here in Northern Ireland in UK. So what did we achieve in those 15 years of 15 years long collaboration of shared teaching? Number 1, the students, because the students were admitted in both countries for this program, who were willing to take this course. That course was postgraduate certificate, postgraduate diploma, and master's in food biotechnology. So the students traveled in a country, a partner higher education institute, and stayed for the required semesters to complete 50% of the course. So 50% of the course was taught in one country and other 50% in other country. The students of 2 culturally diverse background, different languages, because their first degree was taught in their own language, and primarily they were educated in their home country, and they had no exposure to the host partner's higher education system. Through this course, because 50% time they spent in their own country doing this course, and then they traveled to Northern Ireland in UK to attend 50% of the course at my university. That gave them opportunity to engage in educational activities, of course, because they were attending all the lectures, doing all assessments, assignments, research project, lab sessions. So not only the educational learning, but also because they spent considerable amount of time of their 50% course in the 2 semesters. They were also engaged with the local students in the social activities while completing 50% of course at each institute. So that shared program gave them opportunity to develop not only in the knowledge, but also in the social skills. And since the shared program was developed according to Higher Education Quality Assurance Agency. In UK, we have QAA regulation for the validation and approval of any taught course, so that the assessment and teaching is validated according to the benchmark of QAA. So the final qualification and the award was according to that regulation and of that standard, which could be awarded as a joint qualification approved by both higher education institutes in 2 countries. So the students gained at the end of this course a joint degree, dual degree program was this, funded by European social funding. But there was a lot of work involved, and I am fortunate that I contributed as the program director of this program. But the success of this whole program was based on the coordination between all 3 partners, 3 different institutes in 2 different countries, plus the assessment assessment is not like only the exam, class test, and the assignments, but also how they closely they were monitored at both institutes. Plus, we had external examiners' input in both countries to approve what the teaching was being done and how we were doing assessments. In UK system, in higher education academy, we also have to go for periodic review of shared program through QAA guidelines. So that was a lot of work, paperwork involved, then keeping all evidence of teaching, assessment, and the award to students. And not only this, but also the outcome of the program and the destination of students, means what they were doing after achieving this qualification. That my role was also very difficult. The pastoral care of students means that the students coming on this program, staying for considerable time, spending here in a different country. So my responsibility was as a pastoral care was very important. And the same thing when students from Northern Ireland, they travel to other country for remaining 50% of the course, the pastoral care of the students in that country. So like as a mutual caring of students was very important in achieving SDG 4 through our education, tertiary education. So this at the same time that students were getting their postgraduate qualification, but also they were benefiting with learning other skills like social skills, that their exposure in different culture, different languages, different society, due to their international exposure because of spending a considerable amount of time. So what are the prospects of such international collaboration in tertiary education? This comes through sustainable development partnerships. Students from developing countries, if they are coming to the developed countries, through the exchange of ideas, skills, social interaction, they learn all the skills, but at the same time, when they go back to their countries, they have made very good connections for lifelong learning. So the example is that those students who completed masters under this dual degree program, some of these students, they chose to go for research degree, PhD, doctoral research program in either countries. And some students even spend half of time working. For example, my partner, 2 universities in other European countries, they had a very good food industry, established many food industries. So students could do some experimental work with our industrial partners. Whereas in Northern Ireland, we do not have many food industry. So that's why our student could go there. And that was a mutual benefit. So that was these are the prospects that if we go for global partnership, how the students get benefited, not only for the degree, but other their social development and professional development. Now the question comes that we have been working for this program for 15 years, but suppose if this program was running now under this condition of pandemic, what could happen? A student couldn't travel. So that's why I have added this last paragraph here. In the event of travel restrictions, like students could not travel because of we have no control on this travel, then it is possible the delivery of joint courses the assessments and engagement of students based in different geographical areas and also in different time zones through digital tools. We have been working for our research in collaboration and also delivering some short courses through digital tools. So it is possible, if the travel is not possible and such courses are running, because of the possibility and availability of such a digital platform, we cannot have any problem. So it is possible delivery of joint courses, assessment, active engagement of students based wherever they are in different partner institutes through digital tools. So that was my last slide. The conclusion is that SDG 4 is possible through global partnership, because if we are thinking in terms of United Nations goal that the developed countries could make global partnership with developing countries, or doesn't matter they are developing or not, we learn from each other. And I am based at Ulster University in Northern Ireland, UK. And whoever is attending this conference, my talk, I welcome if they have some idea. I have developed courses in the Masters in Biotechnology and Masters in Food Biotechnology. And that included different aspects of environmental biotechnology, bioenergy. In fact, if somebody in the audience, like professor from the same university, University of Parana in Curitiba, like we have worked together on research publication, global partnership is always beneficial for each partner. So I would like, I welcome if somebody wants to contact me for such partnership in education as well as in research in bioscience. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Professor Poonam. It was very interesting to happen to know that you have been here in Curitiba, although online. Was that it?
No, that was year 2010.
You have been
attended
here then. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So later on, it will be interesting to get to know with whom have you contacted, because nowadays we have been developing a certain partnership with Ulster University, but then concerning digital humanities and the evaluation of internationalization actions impacts. So we've been pretty much in contact with some personnel from Ulster University. So there has been, we have already some contacts, and it will be very interesting to see which other contacts we could develop. I thought your presentation was very, very interesting, and especially because you have emphasized the centrality of SDG 4. And in fact, if education is not central, then how can we think of achieving the other SDGs? So this is pretty much important to highlight. Although the SDGs are a whole system, they are all integrated, education really stands because it's the way things change. But sometimes those changes take a long time. And this is my concern because we've been experiencing here in Brazil, because of the pandemic, a very interesting and fast change in the way the universities relate to teaching, because we had to transfer our teaching system to online, to remote teaching. And this was not a thing that we were used to do it. Of course, there has been interesting projects on long distance learning, but not on a daily basis. So this was the first time that most graduate and undergraduate students, they had to go to, they had to experience online learning. And then let us think that it's even more complicated when we think international exchanges through online relations, because then we don't have the context, then we're not there, so we're separated, the cultures are apart, etc. So it poses somewhat a question. My concern is that, of course, the pandemic taught us a lot of things in a very short period of time. But then at the same time, and I think that the pandemic, it's unfortunate that we had to pass through the pandemic and all the sufferings to learn such a huge amount of things as the possibility of interacting with people remotely through online platforms. But then my concern is universities in general, they take a long time to change their cultural ways of understanding, learning and teaching and evaluation, etc. And it seems to me that it's only now that at least Brazilian universities, they're becoming more aware of the importance and the urgency of embracing the SDGs. But then how can we speed up the process which involves this cultural transformation of the way the university sees itself? Because it seems that the need for this change is urgent, but then it takes time because the universities in general, they resist such changes. So do you think that in the post-pandemic world, what will last of all the things that we have learned during the pandemic and because of the pandemic? Because this for us, it's really a novelty. And there has been many interesting opportunities. The fact that we're here now today discussing with you, you're in Northern Ireland and here we in Brazil, south of Brazil, this is really quite interesting and shows everyone the possibilities involved. But then at the same time, many people resist, and even the university, they are not, it seems that they are not prepared to develop all those possibilities. So I'd like to propose those questions, those comments. And also there is a question more specific, but it has to do with all that I'm speaking about. Someone is asking, what is your view on online and face-to-face academic mobility programs and their role on the internationalization of higher education institutions? So thank you for the moment.
Maybe I can just quickly conclude on this thing. Though nobody had control, and this happened worldwide in all countries, whether developed countries or who already had the tools available, digital, all facilities, because even before pandemic, we were delivering our lectures for the students learning in both modes. Like we were teaching in classroom on campuses, but at the same time, we were using digital tools for the provision of the course material, and the students submitting their coursework online. They were sometimes even doing presentation online if they could not come on campus for some reason. So, like in developed countries, the students were already using the digital tools. But during pandemic, I came to know that several places, the campuses in other countries, because they did not have the access to the modern digital tools, they had to even stop their classes for some time until they trained their teachers. Even the teachers were not aware of online teaching. Maybe people can talk, but not the way we in the classroom we have interaction with the students, like for involving in students in interactive teaching. like in classroom we do. So in many places, the teachers were not able, or they did not have the access to such a tool that they could involve students online in interactive teaching. So that was the problem. But now everybody is learning, and but at the same time, we had few benefits of of digital diplomacy, that we could attend several meetings for our research collaboration without traveling, and that saved a lot of time. That we could sometimes we could not attend meetings because of the financial issues, or not being in two countries at the same time. Now it has been possible. So like today I'm sitting in Northern Ireland, but this morning I had my research talk in a conference in India, and because of the time difference, I could attend both. So there's some advantages, but as you said, from a student point of view, certainly they have missed that exposure on campus, meeting with their classmates, their mentors, their teachers, one-to-one, face-to-face meeting with their project supervisors. That was a big disadvantage. So hopefully we come out of this, and then students would be able to freely move for such global partnerships.
Yeah, it seems to me that it would be very interesting if we could, when we return to face-to-face learning activities at universities, which are irreplaceable, it would be very interesting if we could leave open the possibility for remote interactions, because it has proven very effective in terms of saving money, in terms of saving time. Many times we really did not conceive of the possibility of evaluating a PhD, for example, through online platforms. We had to travel, and Brazil being a continental country, it's so huge. It took us a lot of time, it took us a lot of money. I see that many opportunities have been opened, but at the same time, I see people very eager to return to the old normality. You know, I would like to understand, how do you see the situation at Ulster? Perhaps Ulster was more advanced in incorporating and embracing technological devices to foster teaching, knowledge, research. For us, this is a kind of a novelty. We have learned a lot, but I'm afraid that because of people, they're so eager to come back to the old times and the old practices, that maybe we will be leaving aside many important things that we have learned.
Yes, that actually in the last 18 months, so many things happened that online talking to my partners, or even I got sometimes email from some institutes in other countries. First time I made contact, they were willing that to know how if we cannot have the possibility of students visiting other institutes in other countries. As you said, number one is for the financially it is not possible for a student to migrate from one country to other country. But I have been asked if I could contribute in the like some online lectures. Like just last month, I have been invited to give some lectures in English language and biotechnology for those students at the university in Central Europe, where actually the course is not taught in English. The bachelor's degree program is taught in their own language. Like, you know, I think in same is in Brazil in Portuguese language.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
so yeah, so same is in the like in the France, in Czechoslovakia, where I have contacts. The courses are taught in their own language, first language, but there are some subjects which are of global importance, like bioscience, like bioengineering, biotechnology. They want that the students should get some experience and exposure of being taught some topics in English language. So when they go out to for their PhD or for higher research outside their countries. So I have been, I am now in the process to see where I can contribute online teaching of my industrial biotechnology, like few lectures without traveling, me going in that country, or the student coming to my university. So one such option is possible for all countries. I will be happy to collaborate in that way. Also, I got a suggestion from some university that they were developing a course at master level in industrial or applied microbiology, biotechnology. So I could contribute as an advisor or a member of validation team, that to see what needs to be included in the curriculum for the learning of the student, to prepare them for outside world, not only restricted to a particular geographical area. So there are 3 or 4 possibilities recently we have discussed. Though far, as you said, for PhD examining, that is possible now anytime online. During lockdown, I have examined 4 PhD thesis, PhD Viva, what you call in Brazil, I don't know. We call in PhD Viva, some country they call Viva Voce exam. I have conducted online, sitting here in my house, examining PhD students. So that is not a possible any problem. So I'm happy if I can contribute as a validator of any curriculum in my subject, and also delivering some online lectures if it is beneficial for a PhD student and for master level student, and also of course undergraduate student. Everybody can join, because my lectures are of that I can modify. As I said, all the teachers have to be very flexible to cater our audiences.
Sure. Do you happen to remember with whom have you been in contact here in Curitiba 2010?
I think I have seen his name.
Professor, it was in bioprocesses.
Yes. Yes.
So Professor Sokol.
Yes, yes. We have also written 2 books together in biotechnology. That was, he was, I don't know he's listening or in audience today or not, but he had hosted this conference, because we are also the member of Biotechnology Research Society. We both are fellow and life
Professor
member.
Marcos Sokol. Yeah.
Carlos. His name is Carlos.
Let me just take a look.
He's talking on biofuel, I think, today.
Oh, Carlos Ricardo Sokol, of course. Of course.
Yes, so we know each other from last. We published our book first time in year 2000, now 21 years ago.
Yeah. Biotechnology. This is one major graduate program here at our university. So this is why you have this connection. So
actually, about 4 or 5 years ago, that was some Brazilian government program started, that appointment of professors from international universities as a visiting professor. Yes. So I had that opportunity that time, but I could not leave my work here, and because of personal reasons, I could not accept that possibility. And when it was possible, then the pandemic started. So I think the government of Brazil is still have that program, the
Yes.
appointment of international academics.
Yeah. But it was very interesting to know that we already had some very positive connections. Very good. So I would like to thank you so much for your thoughts and for your time, for being here with us. It has been very, very interesting, and it has produced a lot of, for us, a lot of inputs, specifically the need that we have here at the level of the higher administration to foster more English taught courses. This is not, we're not used to it, but this is a way to prepare our students and to prepare our researchers to better interact and to better profit from their international interactions. So this is really important, and this is a thing that it's a cultural change that is needed. It takes time, but we have to start it now because we are already late. So we have to embrace the SDGs, and in order to do that, we have also to make some changes in the way we consider teaching, learning, doing research, publishing, etc.